Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees, and all glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace JIVA TATTVA Prabhu. It's an honor to have your association today, JIVA TATTVA Prabhu, to share with us Krishna Katha from the Transcendental Srimad Bhagavatam. And I lost sight of something which I will share with each and everyone at the end of the class. But there was something we should have done. We didn't do. We lost sight of it. But we will address that at the end of the class. So without further ado, Prabhuji, you're very much welcome to Hare Krishna Africa, which is the home of each and every lover of Srila Prabhupada. And we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Sadhguru Prabhu. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Very grateful to Sadhguru Prabhu for making it available for me to come and enabling the devotees to gather here as part of our Sankirtan movement and for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada Jagadguru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So is it 2:10:42 or 2:10:43, Prabhu?
I think it's 43. This was yesterday.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So let's start with the invocation prayers to invoke the blessings and auspiciousness for the welfare of all mankind, and especially for the ones who are present in this session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam Nashta Praeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtaki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are covering a very important verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse 43. Tatah kalagni rudratma yatsashtam idamatmanaha sanniyachati tatkale ghananikam ivanilaha. Word for word translation. Tataha, thereafter, at the end. Kala, destruction. Agni, fire. Rudra Atma, in the form of Rudra. Yat, whatever. Srishtam, created. Idam, all these. Atmanaha, of his own. Some, completely. Niyachati, annihilates. Tatkale, at the end of the millennium. Gana anikam, bunches of clouds. Iva, like that of Anilaha, air. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium, the Lord Himself, in the form of Rudra, the destroyer, will annihilate the complete creation as the wind displaces the clouds. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join me in the invocation purport. This creation is very appropriately compared to clouds. Clouds are created or situated in the sky, and when they're displaced, they remain in the same sky without manifestation. Similarly, the whole creation is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form of Brahma. It is maintained by him in the form of Vishnu. And it is destroyed by him in the form of Rudra or Shiva, all in due course. This creation, maintenance, and destruction are nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita 8.19-20 as follows. Bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratri agame avashah partha prabhavatya ahar agame parastasmatu bhavo anyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaha sa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. The nature of the material world is that it is first created very nicely, then it develops very nicely, and stays for a great number of years, even beyond the calculation of the greatest mathematician. But after that, it is again destroyed during the night of Brahma without any resistance. And at the end of the night of Brahma, it is again manifested as a creation to follow the same principles of maintenance and destruction. The foolish conditioned soul who has taken this temporary world as a permanent settlement has to learn intelligently why such creation and destruction take place. The fruitive actors in the material world are very enthusiastic in the creation of big enterprises, big houses, big empires, big industries, and so many big things out of the energy and ingredients supplied by the material agent of the Supreme Lord. With such resources and at the cost of valuable energy, the conditioned soul creates, satisfies his whims, but unwillingly has to depart from all his creations and enter into another phase of life to create again and again. To give hope to such foolish conditioned souls who waste their energy in this temporary material world, the Lord gives information that there is another nature which is eternally existent without being occasionally created or destroyed, and that the conditioned soul can understand what he should do and how this valuable energy can be utilized. Instead of wasting his energy in matter, which is sure to be destroyed in due course by the Supreme Will, the conditioned soul should utilize his energy in the devotional service of the Lord so that he can be transferred to another eternal nature where there is no birth, no death, no creation, no destruction, but permanent life instead, full of knowledge and unlimited bliss. The temporary creation is thus exhibited and destroyed just to give information to the conditioned soul who is attached to temporary things. It is also meant to give him a chance for self-realization and not for sense gratification, which is the prime aim of all fruitive actors. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Prati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nite Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tadaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this is a beautiful verse, and we will be looking at this verse from different perspectives. So here, let's look at the translation. Let's first look at the translation. Thereafter, at the end of the millennium. So this end of the millennium is referring to the night of Lord Brahma, as the night starts for Lord Brahma. The Lord himself in the form of Rudra. Now, sometimes people get confused. They say, wait a minute, there is a second, there's a Namaprad that's saying that considering Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to Lord Krishna. So that's a namaprad, that's an offense to the holy name. And here it is saying the Lord himself in the form of Rudra. So we have to understand the context. When Srila Prabhupada is revealing this in the form of Rudra means this is also an avatar. But then Lord is empowering Rudra. So Lord Shiva, as we understand, is Rudra. And sometimes people say, what's the difference between Shiva means auspicious and Rudra means anger? So how did Rudra manifest himself in this material world? That when Lord Brahma, when he awoke on his very first, on the beginning of the day, on the lotus, he could not understand why he is there, what's his purpose. And he was trying to find out who's the cause of my creation. So we covered that earlier in chapter 1 onward. Atra sarga visargastha snanam pushtam utaya. So the sarga is the primary creation that is done by the Purushabdas. So Karana, first of all, there is Mahavishnu, Karadaksha Vishnu, who's lying in the Karan ocean, and from his pores and his exhaling, various universes are coming out, right? Andakara. So, and again, global round form. So, when these are coming out with every inhalation, they are actually coming back into him, so emerging into him. So, this is the primary creation where it's happening. And then in each of the universe, Lord Karnadaksha Vishnu further expands and enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So we have covered this. I'm just giving a quick gist of what we covered earlier. And as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from the navel, Garbh refers to the womb. So from his navel sprouts this lotus on which Lord Brahma is born. And he appears and he is trying to find his cause. But then he becomes more fearful when seeing that there's so many strong waves in this Garbhodak ocean. And he's trying to go through the stem, to the 14 planetary system to find his origin, not able to find it. When he comes back to his, on top of the lotus, on the world of the lotus, he hears tapa and he meditates. And Lord from the heart imparts all that knowledge. So which means Lord is also there as Garbhodak, on the Garbhodak ocean on Anantashesh, and he further expands as Shirodaksha Vishnu, known as Super Soul, Paramatma. And Shirodaksha Vishnu, even though one appears divided and is in the heart of all living entities, as well as even spaces between the atoms. So he is single entity, but appearing divided, just like you may be sun at different location with different set of clouds, and I may be looking at sun at my location with different set of clouds, but they are the same sun. So they are not different. So yes, in India, it may be night, but here it is, prime time, going to be afternoon, noon soon. So here we are understanding that yes, Shirodaksha Vishnu is the one from the heart of Brahma. He is imparting him the knowledge and revealing him the purpose of his existence that he has to create. So ingredients have been provided. And so Lord Brahma, when there's Brahma Samhita, yes, I know. Many of you may be thinking, wait a minute, Brahma Samhita explains a lot of those revelations that what Lord Brahma saw, so much so that he actually invited Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna, gave him a revelation of the spiritual world as well. And then Lord Brahma, understanding that he's in a Sakya Rasa, he starts the creation. And of course, we see different sons of Brahma are born. And after, when the Chaturkumaras are born, Lord Brahma is asking them to take to devotion and again expand the progeny. But they say, no, we want to seek self-realization. And that happens because they ask a question. Like, what is the cause of this material universe? What's the purpose of this? And at that time, Lord Brahma was blank. Like sometimes a new question comes up and we turn blank. So we look for authorities. So he sought authorities, and then Hamshavtar appeared. And sitting on a pillar, Hamshavtar reveals to the Chaturkumaras that the purpose of this life is to go back home, back to Godhead. But the way they got it is like Brahman Vadi. That's Brahmanvad. That's what they, the spiritual effulgence. That's what they thought the spiritual sky is all about when they thought about spiritual sky. And again, my dear devotees, Brahman, the spiritual effulgence is present everywhere in the spiritual and material universes. But our eyes are so defective that we can't see it. So we think that there is something known as darkness. But this darkness is not real but it's the inability of our eyes to see the Brahman, the spiritual effulgence. And they refuse when Lord Brahma says increase progeny, because that was the purpose for Lord Brahma to drive. And they said, no, we understood that that's not the purpose. We will see spiritual progress. And Lord Brahma becomes angry, and from the middle of his eyebrows comes out a baby, bluish, reddish complexion. And this anger means Rudra. So it was the anger of Brahma in our universe. So I'm only telling you how Rudra appeared in our universe. Rudra appears from the middle of the eyebrows, and suddenly he grows into a full being. So there are 11 Rudras, and topmost of them is Sadashiv. So yes, their nature is of destruction. But then Lord Shiva is similar to Krishna, yet at the same time, Krishna is full in all 64 opulences and potencies. So here we see that Vishnu, so we talk about the Purushavatars. So there are 3 Purushavatars: Karadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Shivadakshay Vishnu. And further, there is an expansion that's happening of good avatars. So Shivadakshay Vishnu also assumes the good avatar of maintaining all the living entity as Vishnu. And Brahma does the creation of Visarga, secondary creation. And Shiva is given the responsibility to focus on meditation and devotional service and cause annihilation at every night of Lord Brahma. Now, when you think of this, Lord Brahma, he has revealed this information that he will be creating all day long. Means you're working day and night all day long. And the moment you go to sleep, everything is burnt to ground. That is sure to invoke that detachment in the heart of Lord Brahma. He's doing all this creation and everything is cleaned out. And it is definitely visible that you work all day and you come next day and everything is back to square one. What happened? I worked so hard all day long and everything is gone. So Lord Brahma, why is he doing this? Because he is trying to, Lord Krishna, in a friendly mode, is trying to cause that detachment, even in the heart of first entity, from these fruitive activities. He's saying, yes, you are creating it, but don't get attached to it. Because that's the service. You should be attached to the service for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. So there is the servant, we, living entities, then there is service, and then there is sevaya, the object of this service, for whose pleasure we are performing the service. So it doesn't matter what happens to the objects that are created for the pleasure as part of our service, but it is Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam, for Lord Krishna as he desires we should act. And Lord Rudra, Lord Shiva, is considered almost like Vishnu. Why? Because of those 64 potencies, Vishnu only has 60 of them. So Lord Krishna has all 64, Lord Vishnu has 60, Lord Shiva has 55. And why is there lack of 5? Because it's like milk turned into a yogurt or curd, right? So you cannot transform it back. That's the difference. And he has these potencies in greater quantities. Lord Brahma has 50 of those qualities in further minute qualities. Think of drop of a drop of a drop. And I was trying to understand this drop of a drop of a drop. And one of my friends, he said, let me show you how this is possible. I'm like, sure, please show me. He had this old printer. And every time you try to print something and scan something, the quality deteriorates. And that's how he showed me. He took the first printout, scanned it, took another printout, scanned it. By the time he was on his 12th printout, we couldn't read the words on the paper. because the quality kept going down. So the quantity, when qualitatively we are one, but quantity keeps going down. And the same way, like this printer was not producing enough, refined letters, every time it was causing that to go down. So that was one way of learning, yes, how that would happen. So Lord Shiva is known as Rudra. And in his Rudra form, he causes annihilation in this material universe. And we see that Lord Brahma is already getting this realization that every day he has to start fresh. So much so that all the living entities, they actually rest in the womb of the Lord, and then they come back. And Lord Brahma has to, again, on the lower planetary systems. Brahma Lok is still safe, but all of the lower planetary systems, they have to, again, they merge back into the Lord and have to be brought back. And even Lord Narad, he goes back at the end of the day and comes out, but he has a spiritual body. So he's an exception in that perspective. Lord Shiva is an exception from that perspective. And Lord Shiva is also referred to as Kalagni Rudra Atma. So it is the destruction of fire. So who knows how Lord Shiva is able to produce this fire? I'll ask you. Who knows Lord Shiva is able to produce this fire? How is he producing the fire? Dear devotees, please raise your hand or share in the chat. How many eyes do you have?
Is it from his anger?
It is caused by his anger. How many eyes do you have, Prabhu? We have 2 eyes. Lord Shiva has a third eye right in the middle of his eyebrows above on his forehead. So he, with his fire, he is causing the worlds to be destroyed. And he's causing it just like, clouds are dissipated. Now, one of the interesting things that's happening is that Lord Brahma is becoming more and more expert with every day passes, right? When we keep doing the same thing again and again, we become efficient and effective in doing things. So he's becoming more and more efficient, yet detached at the same time. He knows that he will, last time, like say, for example, if we are doing a marathon race, right? So first time we may not do well. Next time we will plan better and do a little better. When we take the lessons learned, third time we do it even better. Fourth time. So we're becoming better and better till the level that we come to like that perfection stage. And in regard to this perfection stage, other philosophies also talk about that once man got so much power that they challenged God. So think of, Brahma getting so much knowledge that he would challenge. So it's very interesting that man challenges God by saying, hey, you can produce life, I can produce life. Whatever you can do, I can do it. And then the challenge facing each other, and Lord says, start. And then they start combining the object. God says, wait, those are my elements. That's my substance, my ingredients. Get your own ingredient. And that's where the, man is defeated. So here we understand that actually we have to be not just given the ability by the Lord, as we hear in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but also the ingredients have to be supplied, so much so that even the body that we have received has been supplied by the Lord. So in reality, we should be developing detachment from that very perspective, that we receive the ability from the Lord. We receive this body to engage in the service and pleasure of the Lord. So everything is to be done for the pleasure of the Lord. And anytime the attachment comes with the material things, it only causes lamentation and further dukhalem, right? Further distress to oneself. So in this verse, this aspect has been identified, that just like the clouds, they're dissipated because of the wind blowing in the sky. So they appear manifested and they appear unmanifested at different times. And the Bhagavad Gita verses also that's referred in the purport are very important. Bhutagrama se evayam. Bhutagrama refers to the collection of all living entities in this material universe. right? And bhutva bhutva praliyate. They get embodied, they take different births after births after births, but they are all praliyate. They are all destroyed. Ratri agame. I know agame, the moment you see, is like it's not a game, not a play, but it's agame, which is the coming of. Agama paino anitya stam titiksha bharata. 214, Lord Krishna reveals that this matra sparshasta kante shitoshna sukha dukkha. So the happiness and distress that we get in this material world, they are just like, season, like summer and winter season. Agama apaino. Agama means coming, and apaino. They go away, so the happiness comes and goes away. Just like summer comes as a season and goes away. Winter comes, goes away. So anitya. So the nature is impermanent. Tam statiksha swabhata. So he's giving instruction to Arjun in that 214 verse to become sober and understand this, that this is the nature of this world. It's dukkhalaya and ashashvatam. Ashashvatam is focused here. Similarly, ratri agame. So with the coming of night, avasha. Vasha means some, you control. Avasha means you cannot control. So helplessly, his all these various worlds, they are destroyed. Prabhavatya ahar agame. And they again manifest with the coming of new day. So here, Lord Krishna is revealing that when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities, they come into being, and when the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. So this is referring to the destruction of the material body. That's first level of destruction that we experience. Second level is material of all the worlds, which is what has been discussed in this particular verse. And then the third one is at the day of Lord Brahma, even Brahmalok, everything gets merged, and through the inhalation of Mahavishnu Karanodakshaya Vishnu. So Lord Krishna, again in the second verse, which is shared in the purport, is parastasmat tu bhavanya. But para means beyond that, tasmat, of this material world, which manifests and unmanifests too. But bhavo, there exists something, or something else. Anya means something else. Avyakta, vyakta, sanatana. Beyond this manifesting and unmanifesting world, that particular world that exists, which is beyond this material universe, is sanatana, it's eternal. And yasa sarveshu bhuteshu. So here, yasa sarveshu bhuteshu is referring that where all the manifestations, in this material world are annihilated, nasteshu. Yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nastestu. So in this material world, all these manifestations that are happening, they get annihilated. But in that spiritual world, beyond this material world, where everything is eternal, nothing is ever annihilated. So here, this revelation will also show us that secondary. And then finally, the third is at the end of lifespan of Lord Brahma, which is 100 years of Lord Brahma of Brahmaloka. So from that perspective, time is relative. 311 trillion 40 billion years of earthly years of Lord Brahma. Again, the whole material universe gets taken in by Mahavishnu. So that's the third level of annihilation. So we are talking of the second level of annihilation happening here, which is at the night of Lord Brahma. As the lotus closes and he goes to sleep, all the material lower planets, they are destroyed by Rudra, by Lord Shiva. And that's happening because of the fiery rays coming out of his third eye, which is on the forehead, between his two eyes on the forehead. So many times people, they've become attached and they say, this is so bad. All these things are happening. Why is this destruction in this world? The destruction is to make us realize that nothing in this world is permanent. Things are always changing. And even Arjun, dear devotee of the Lord, his close friend, cousin of the Lord, he is bewildered in Bhagavad Gita, right? In the first two chapters, we see Arjun is giving 5 reasons. First is because of compassion. He's compassionate. Now, observing the army, that's the chapter 1. But there are two personalities who are observing the army. One is Duryodhan. And when he observes the army, he is blaming his teacher, Dronacharya. He's saying, you were lenient. See, Dhishtadyumna, your disciple, has arranged this so very nicely. It's all your fault. So this is a tendency of a demonic person. They always try to blame others. They never take accountability on their own hands. And they always want to seek sense gratification. Like Duryodhana, he wanted to just win to do what? To engage in Krishna consciousness? No. He was looking for sense gratification. While we see Arjun, when he observes, then he is looking from compassion. How can I kill my kingsman and my guru and my grandfather? And then he is also saying, even if I'm looking at it to enjoy the kingdom, how will I be able to enjoy alone? Because, you enjoy with your family and friends together. If all of them are gathered here, they will be killed. How will I enjoy? And then he's showing his saintly nature and also having fear of sinful reaction, that by killing great personalities, I will incur sin, because if men are, these are worthy of my worship. And of course, the destruction of family comes in. When the elders are killed, then there's no protection for the women, and they may be, distracted by impious, sinful men, and so they will fall down and have bad progeny. So that would call Varna Sankara, and they would not carry out the Pindadan and other samskaras and other rituals. And because of that, even the forefathers will also fall down. So that's the destruction of family. And finally, he says, Krishna, I'm so confused. I'm not sure what I should do. Should I fight? Should I not fight? I don't understand. Please help me. And Lord Krishna, in a very compassionate way, he's saying that, why are you thinking of that you are killing this kingsman and your guru and grandfather? These are eternal souls. They are not the body. And soul can never be killed, cannot be cut, cannot be wet, cannot be burned. The body perishes. And in reality, even when the universal form appears, there he's seeing with his eyes that these personalities are rushing into the mouth of, the Vishwarupa, the universal form of the Lord, and they're getting crushed between the teeth. Seeing this sight, he becomes fearful. He's like, who are you? And Lord says, I am the devourer of all things. But he's not referring to the soul, he's referring to the bodies. In reality, Arjun finally understands after the battle that what he was thinking, that, he will be killing his teacher, he'll be, fighting with his grandson, they will actually get rejuvenated by getting new bodies and spiritual bodies. Talk of the best, they will get those spiritual bodies, which is Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And we are all seeking bliss. So that's the purpose, not dukkha. So here, enjoyment, Lord Krishna says, well, this battle is your win-win scenario. If you get destroyed here, you attain heavenly kingdom, because that was the boon King Kuru had received from Indra, the king of the demigods, that anyone who's killed on Kurukshetra, in Kurukshetra, will attain heavenly kingdom. And if you do win it, then you have heavenly kingdom here to enjoy. So enjoyment is win-win for you. And when he's talking about saintliness and fear of sinful reaction, Lord Krishna simply says, well, your religious duty is to fight. And by performing your duty in Krishna consciousness, for the pleasure of the Lord, you will not incur any sin. So that's Varnashram Dharma with the right attitude. When Arjuna was giving the reason of destruction of family, Lord Krishna says, if you do not fight, you will be setting a bad example. And the great generals gathered on this battlefield, they will criticize you and say that you have only left this battlefield because of fear. And that will cause hellish condition for you and the society as a whole. Now, we also understand that Lord Krishna himself is glorified as Rancho, but he had a purpose after, because when Jarasan brought 18 Akshahanis on the 17th occasion, Lord Krishna left because he wanted to encourage Jarasandha to bring even greater armies to later occasions. So again, all of them finally do get destroyed, but it's Lord Krishna's pastime is always very interesting that the glories enjoy. And indecision, Lord Krishna says, this is Hridaya Daurbalyam. This is just weakness of heart, your dissatisfaction, femi. And you need to be resolute in your purpose and avoid this ignorance, because that's anari justam. Now here, when we see that Lord Brahma is creating day in and day out, and things are getting destroyed. In this regard, I'm reminded of Srila Prabhupada's couple of examples. So when Srila Prabhupada was in Dallas, Texas, and he was on his morning walk with the disciples, he saw a very nice estate home, and he pointed towards that estate home. He said that you should preach to the man who lives here. And they said, oh, it's very difficult. He has got these security guards and all. We don't think that we can preach. Srila Prabhupada gave them an example. They said, you should just go and say, you may have all these security guards protecting your residence, but when death will arrive, none of them will be able to protect you. So you should take to Krishna consciousness. That's the ultimate protection you should take shelter of. Well, the disciple did not have enough motivation, so they didn't do that. But one of the disciples was able to give a Bhagavad Gita to one of the security men, security personnel. And after some time, that rich man died. And then the devotees realized that, oh, they should have preached. And the same devotee, one of the devotee in this gathering, in the morning walk, was also present in Mayapur. And he saw Srila Prabhupada doing what he said, right? Sometimes people say, do as I say, not as I do. But Acharya is do as I do, but with the focus on instructions. So again, we are not just imitating, we are following the instructions, following the path of Mahajanas, the great souls. So Srila Prabhupada was on his morning walk again with the devotees, and there was this great, big industrialist from Calcutta who had come to this gathering. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes, Visakhi Mata, you were right, 3 eyes of Lord Shiva, the third eye causes destruction. So here, when Srila Prabhupada was walking, so the devotees introduced this industrialist to Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, he said, so what do you do? He said, oh, I have a glass factory. And so Srila Prabhupada says, where does glass come from? So he was a pious man. So he said, actually, glass comes from silicon. But then he realized that's a technical lingo. So he said, it comes from sand. Sand is silicon. So Srila Prabhupada said, and where the sand comes from? Oh, Krishna provides sand. So you're a thief. You're taking that sand and you're transforming it, and now you're calling it glass and making different kind of objects and selling it. In reality, the ingredient was provided by Krishna. And so everybody laughed, and he also laughed. He was a pious man, this industrialist, so he also laughed. And then, as people walk and different people come forward, backward, so, he had gone back. But as they were returning back to the temple, Chandrodaya temple, so he also came in front of me, and he said that I also donate some, in charity back to the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada said, oh, so you're a small thief, not a big one. And everybody laughed again. And he was really encouraged to take more to Krishna consciousness by this example Srila Prabhupada presents. And devotees were amazed how Srila Prabhupada was making it so light, making it so easily acceptable for people to take to Krishna consciousness and understand the main principle. So knowing all this, we souls in this Kali age, what are we supposed to do? We should take advantage of prime benediction of that has been provided to us, which is Kalera dosh nidhe rajan asti here ek mahan guna kirtanadev krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajit. So Kaler, this Kali age is dosh nidhe, is an ocean of faults. Dosh refers to faults, and nidhe is ocean faults. Rajan, who say Shukdev Goswami is revealing this to Parikshit Maharaj. Asti here ek mahan guna, but it has one great quality. Kirtanad. the glorification. Sometimes we refer to Kirtan just like, okay, we are doing the bhajan Kirtan. But bhaj is also devotion service. It's a much wider word than the way it's normally referred in the musicians community. So Kirti refers to glorification. So Kirtan refers to glorifying, right? Kirtanat, but whose Kirtan? Eva Krishnasya, exclusively of Lord Krishna. Mukta Sangha, so we become detached from this attachment of this material world, because that's what keeping us caught in this cycle of birth and death. And we bhutva ati praliyate. So again, we don't want to take another body after another body, because this is dukkhalayama shashvatam, place of misery and not permanent, constantly changing. As Aristotle said, change is the only constant in this material world. And we want to mukta sangha param vrajit, and we attain the supreme abode. We go back home, back to Godhead. Just like the example of Dronacharya. Before Drishyadhyumna cut off his head, beheaded him, he had already left the body and gone back home, back to Godhead. We all know from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, we are in the 7th chapter, we see that Bhishma Pitamaha, he was meditating on Lord Krishna and he returned back home, back to Godhead as well. So all these revelations tell us in Srimad Bhagavatam that, yes, this material universe has been created for the living entities to seek enjoyment, but that's not the main purpose. It is a simple path, especially this human form of life, to go back home, back to Godhead. This is not our business. We are on sometimes people they go on a vacation for pleasure trip. This is a stress trip we are on. And we have to stress the importance of that one benediction. Kirtana Deva Krishnasya. We should take to the glorification of the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord and his devotees. So Lord mercy flows through his devotees. So when we satisfy the devotees, we get the mercy of the Lord. So like Chaitanya Prabhu is providing this nice service for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga and all the Vaishnavas, and he's engaging others in the glorification. So this gives us the opportunity to engage in the service for the pleasure of, Sadhu Guru and, Srila Prabhupada and of course, Lord Krishna. So here, these are some of the ways where we can see in our life that destruction is just a new beginning. We should understand that every moment that we are getting is to be used with the right purpose. It was very interesting that we are at Planet Maryland this last weekend. And I visited, the couple of stalls, and they do vegetarian food, and they try to spread knowledge about becoming vegetarian, animal protection, and, even helping take on some of these animals who are rescued dogs and others. So I went to one of this tent, and I asked them, book table, and there were these couple of ladies. They were saying there's this wheel, you rotate it, and whichever animal comes, I will ask you a question about it. So I said, sure. And they rotated the table, and lo and behold, I got a cow. So I said, yes, my selection is cow based on this. So they said, okay, tell us the age of longest living cow. And I said, well, it has to be in Goloka. We know it's Goloka, right? Cows are in abundance in Goloka. So it has to be Survi or some others, because they are eternally there. Well, they said, well, you are wrong. The longest living cow is Bethany. She lived for 49 years, and she was a very happy cow. That made me surprised me. I said, how do you know that Bethany was a happy cow? Just because she lived the longest among all the cows? Does she even care that she lived the longest among all the cows? And how can you relate the life of someone with the happiness that they attain? We know so many personalities who were very happy, completely in transcendental bliss, but they didn't live longer. So these are not mutually exclusive, but not mutually inclusive as well. It doesn't mean one who lives long life lives a happy life. Every time we are going from here, from US to India, people say, oh, it's a 24-hour flight. That's a long flight. Think of that as a lifespan, right? So the longer the flight, the happier you get. I don't think that's the experience. But what we have observed and what we have experienced is we take 2-3 Bhagavad Gitas with us. And when we meet other passengers, we discuss Bhagavad Gita, the time flies, and they are also getting the knowledge, and we are getting the opportunity to glorify the Lordships and further helping another living entity come closer to Lord Krishna. Now, such trips, the longer they are, the better they become, because we are engaging in devotional service and the time flies. We have seen as children, when we were kids, we would take a train journey, and if you're not talking to anyone, just staying glued in our own thoughts, every minute becomes longer. Especially the last 10 minutes when you are about to reach the station, the longest, as long as the remaining journey. This same thing happens. So I see Monica Mataji is saying we should practice pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord and chant Maha Mantra sincerely and follow the instructions of our spiritual Guru. So, my dear devotees, what's important is the only pleasure we can get in this material world by detaching from material efforts, but engaging in spiritual efforts, which is chanting of the holy name, which is a prayer to ask for further engagement in devotional service for the pleasure of the Lordship, Sadhu, Guru, and Gauranga. And Gauranga, when I say it, means Lord Krishna as well. So here, that's the purpose. If you want to be happy, raise your hand if you seek happiness. So again, we all want to be happy. Thank you, Suvijit Prabhu. Or spiritualize all work of efforts. We need to spiritualize. And when we engage in devotional service, that's where true happiness comes. Anand Bhaya Abhyasat, we living entities have this intense desire to seek happiness. That's what Shastras say. And here we see, when we hear about Lord Rudra destroying, we should look at it from the new perspective that he is providing, and it's a new beginning for Lord Brahma. And to cause detachment in our hearts so that we can understand that whatever efforts we do in this material world, they are all going to vanish one day, because once we are gone, we don't care about it. So what should we care about? Something that makes us eternal. So Srila Prabhupada even said, reminded of his statement, when he said that I will live for next 10,000 years through my books, because this is the golden age in Kali Yuga we are born in. So Srila Prabhupada is present through his books, through his translated ecstasies, which are his purports, through his translations, constantly enabling us. So Hare Krishna, this is where we conclude that looking at Lord Shiva's action, we should seek it as new beginning, enabling us becoming closer to Lord Krishna. Understanding that it is a new beginning in our life, every moment is a new beginning, and we should engage in devotional service. Hare Krishna. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace JIVA TATTVA Prabhu. It's so beautiful to hear you speak. And I think we're all trying to learn from Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada speaks with lots of analogies to make the presentation much easier for the audience to comprehend. And you did exactly so, which was very beautiful, particularly when you were making a reference to the question you were asked, the oldest living cow, and the person was saying it was also very happy. And you drew the analogy of flying 24 hours from US to India. It's a long time. Does that mean you're happy? It makes a lot of sense, So thank you so much. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you would want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or to speak. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you were talking about annihilation, which was mentioned in the text, and you talk about Rudra and you indicated that is the second kind of annihilation. I would want you to share like the first and the third in regards to when does Kali sitting on the white horse come into play, things like that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, you're asking about the advent of Kali age?
Yeah, no, Kali, the incarnation of
Kali.
the Lord, yes.
Right.
Who comes at the end of Kali Yuga to destroy everyone,
Oh, yes.
which is a form of annihilation.
Yes.
And then Rudra also annihilating.
Yes.
And then the third one I would want you to share, because you said the Rudra is like the second type of annihilation.
So let me, this at the end of the Kali Avatar. So in the Kali Avatar, he doesn't destroy Rudra, by the way, because Rudra, his residence is now in the spiritual world. Lord Shiva, he's actually the Devi Dhama and the Shiv Loka. They have actually surpassed the Virja River and on the other side, but he does come, and he is also on a lower planet. So it's not that you're graded wise on a lower planet or upper planet. So Lord Shiva doesn't get destroyed when the coming of Kali age, because it comes 1,000 times in one day of Brahma, right? And we never, there's no reference in the Shastra that Rudra getting destroyed, but rather after those 1,000 occurrences of Chaturyugas in one day of Brahma, all these, the lower planetary systems, 13 of them, they get destroyed. And that's because destroyed by Rudra. So he's Lord Shiva. He is the cause of them getting destroyed, and all the elements are again available for Lord Brahma to come back next day. When he awakens, the flower, the lotus flower opens up, he is awake, and he is again meditating, just like we are supposed to meditate, right? Every morning when we get up, we clean up, doing our regular things, and then we engage in chanting of the holy name, then deity worship, and so many other things. So afterwards, we carry out our day. So Lord Brahma is also in our parampara. He is from whom Brahma Sampradaya is coming, right? So we are following his example, and at the same time realizing that this detachment is an important thing that he's teaching us. Get detached from all the fruitive activities. And it may appear that he's engaged in fruitive activities, but which he's actually engaged in spiritual activities. He has gone through this detachment so many times. So Rudra doesn't get destroyed there. He gets merged when all the universes merge back into Mahavishnu, the Karnodaksha Vishnu. When he inhales, then all these universes go back in him. And ours is a very small universe, which means we came out late and we go in first. Last in, first out kind of scenario. And the other universes, they are bigger, so because the duration is longer. So as if you think of exhaling, you exhale something, so things will go out, right? And then you inhale, which is the closest will go in first. So whatever came out last would be going in first. So think of, and with the duration of time, the universe size increases. That's another effect, because those Brahmas are becoming more and more efficient, and they're getting more and more ingredients. And the sizes of the universe are increasing. That's why some of the Brahmas have 10 heads, some have 100 heads, some have 1,000 heads, some have 100,000 heads, because they need all that brain power to manage those big universes, to create the secondary creation that carries out in those universes. And I also forgot to mention that, so again, we talked about, there are 6 categories of avatars, right? You referred to Kali Avatar, who will appear at the end of Kali age. He appears at the end of every Kali age to annihilate the living entities on the earthly planets, basically, at the end of the Kali age. The Kali age does not have effect on higher planetary systems like Swargalok and Mahalok, Tapalok, and Brahmalok, and so forth. It also doesn't have effect on 2 of the lower planetary system, but that's another topic for another day. So we have to understand that the 6 incarnations, we talked about the Purusha avatars, Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu. Then there is good avatars. So Lord, he is appearing as good avatar by giving Shakta Vesha. That's also direct and indirect. So there's a combination here. So Lord Brahma is a living entity who has been empowered with this potency to creation. So while he is not Sakshat, but he's an indirect Shaktavish avatar, but also referred to as good avatar for creation. And Rudra, who is not Krishna, but not so far from Krishna, not so far from Vishnu, is not a living entity. He's a Shiv Tattva of his own because he's in contact with Maya. His consort is Durga, goddess Parvati, son of Parvat, Himalaya. Oh, sorry, daughter of Himalaya. And so, because of her contact, he is referred to as that yogurt. Because of tamarind and milk combination, you get yogurt, you can't turn it back, but it has its own applications. So Rudra is also one of the good avatars. And then we have Leela avatars, we have Shaktavesh avatars, and we have Yuga avatars. So there are 6 categories of them that are there. And so Rudra doesn't get destroyed, he just merges back in. I'll give you another example how this merging can be referred to as. So when Lord Krishna appears, he appears with all his incarnations, right? So in him is Vasudev, in him is Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Balaram and everyone. And then he's further expanding. The first expansion is Balaram. Then from Balaram comes the first Chaturvyuha expansions, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And then comes Vishnu incarnation. Then the secondary Chaturvyuha incarnation from Vishnu, which is again Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. It is a second Chaturvyuha incarnation. They are managing these unlimited material universes in this material world. And that's where the expansion of Purushavatars, Gunavatars, Leelavatars, Yugavatars, all those take place. Shaktavesh and so forth. Hare Krishna. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, it does. But actually, I was also wanting to find out the different categories of annihilation.
Yes.
But I understand what you were explaining. But I also wanted to get to know a little bit more about at the end of every Kali Yuga, there is a destruction. At the end of each day of Lord Brahma, there is a destruction. And at the end of Lord Brahma's lifetime, there is a destruction. So that's just what I was asking. But the explanation you gave is also very good. If you want to say something on that, we may do that later on. But we have His Grace Shriman Varahacharya Prabhu's hand up. If we may go to him. Prabhu, do you be on mute, please?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna.
Well, just a quick one, because your question about Kalki, I don't know whether it was really answered, but what I would like to know is, Kalki, what category of avatar does he belong to among the 6? These 6 ones, which one does he belong?
Yuga Avatar is where it is, he's appearing in this particular Yuga. But then there is, Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they have given different references with respect to Kalki Avatar. Because in Yuga Avatar, it's also called 3 Yuga Avatars. So Yuga Avatar don't appear, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is referred in Kali age to be the Chinna, as a hidden Yuga Avatar. Kalki refers to he's performing his pastime. So he's going to cause this annihilation. And in this particular category, it is going to be his Leela. That's how he is doing it. However, at the same time, we should think of destruction as cleansing, right? So we should, all bad things are removed. That cannot be destruction. That's cleansing. So they are coming to clean up. So he's going, with his compassionate nature, he's going to clean up these earthly planets of all the miscreants that will remain. There will be some saintly souls that have continued from Dwapar Yuga, and some even from Satyuga, and some even from the previous day of Lord Brahma. So Markandeya Muni is continuing to live from day to day to day. While he was supposed to be dead at the age of 18 earthly years. But he got blessing from Lord Shiva. So he goes from one day of Lord Brahma to another day of Lord Brahma. So not everyone is getting destroyed. The devotees who are serving the Lord is pleased, he let them live. And those who are miscreants, they are getting destroyed. So I would not say it's a destruction, it's a cleansing. Even when our body gets destroyed, we should look at it. If we get natural death, then our body becomes so weak, right? Our eyesight goes bad, our hearing goes bad, our back starts hurting, us, we're getting so much trouble. So in reality, it's a cleansing. All these bad things go away when we get a new body. And if we engage in devotional service, we get eternal body. Always youthful, eternally and happy. We attain the purpose by engaging in devotional service, and we continue to engage in devotional service to stay happy. Does that answer your question or your insight, Shriman Varaha Prabhu?
I think I misspoke when I said, I think I meant to say Kalki Avatar, but it seems I said Kali.
Yeah, Kali.
Yes.
And I continue to
Kalki.
do.
Yeah. Thank you. Shriman Prabhu, are you okay with the answer?
Yes. Well, because if we say it's Yuga Avatar, then Lord Chaitanya, of course, is known as the Yuga Avatar. And of course, as Lila Avatar also. Anyway, let's follow what the authorities say.
Yes.
It's actually confusing to place him. Thank you, Prabhu.
Again, I just want to quickly cover different kind of avatars that have been given in the scriptures.
Okay.
And we talked about the Purusha avatars, we talked about the Guna avatars, and then we have Shaktavesh avatars, which can be direct or indirect. So that's another aspect of it. And then we have Manvantara. So again, the incarnations are the Manus during the day of Brahma. So we have the Manus, which is Yagya Swambhu Manu, Vibhu Sorisha Manu, and Satyasena Suttama Manu, Hari Tamas Manu. So again, we have different Manus. There are Manvantara avatars, and then you have Yoga avatars, Satyuga, Trita Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, they appear. So the colors are white, red, black, and yellow. So in Dwapara Yuga, Lord Krishna in blackish, bluish, cloud, the monsoon cloud color, he appeared. In Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya in yellow color appeared. So these are all in the scriptures, they have been identified. And we talk about Lord Ram as Yoga Avatar, yet at the same time, we also see Ram Leela. So we look at this, and then there's indirectly empowered Shaktavesha called getting vibhutis from the Lord. The example of Devashi Narad, Kumaras, Prithu Maharaj, Shesha, Ananta, Parshuram, all these are Shaktavesha avatars. So yes, again, the more you go deep, the more you get. But at the same time, we should understand the essence of all, which is they are coming us, and what is the purpose of their appearing in our lives is to take us back home, back to Godhead. And they're paving this path by their example, by showing us how we should engage in devotional service. Otherwise, we'll just be in analysis paralysis and lose the important opportunity we have of Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vijit, on glorifying the Lordship. Just by that activity, for his pleasure, we can become spiritualized and happy. Hare Krishna. Any other question?
Well, I just looked it up online, and something is said to affirm what you just said, that Kalki Avatar is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita as the last of the 25 Leela avatars of the Lord. So Kalki Avatar is a Leela. He's performing a Leela. Wow, what a Leela.
That's why I say nothing gets destroyed. Things get cleansed. So it's a cleansing process. Things are clean now. All bad elements are gone, so we can continue And everyone who's born in Satyuga is said to be Hamsa. Sometimes people say, oh, what if we were born in Satyuga? We would be one of the Hamsa. Hamsas are, and then there are Paramhamsas, even higher than that. Because everyone is already in knowledge. Yes, everyone is already in knowledge in Satyuga. But let's think about it. Do we want to be born as Hiranaksha or Hiranyakashipu or their followers? No. They were in Satyuga. Right? People say life would be perfect if we see Lord Krishna if you were born in Dwapar Yuga. Yes, it would be interesting, but you don't want to be born like with the mindset of Duryodhana or Karna, and these personalities, or Shakuni, all these personalities were seeing Lord Krishna, but they were not realizing who Lord Krishna is. Mindset matters. How you see something matters a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Prabhuji, for the answer. There was this question. It's actually like a dilemma we're trying to overcome. That is, we understand that at the end of Lord Brahma's life, after Lord Brahma has lived for 100 years, which is some trillion and billions of years, when the Lord Brahma is qualified to go back to the spiritual world, he goes with all the inhabitants on his planet. Now, and when that happens, all living entities within his universe enter into the body of Mahavishnu. And when the Lord Brahma has to be reborn, then the living entities come out of Lord Mahavishnu to be repopulated in the universe. Now the question is, where do the living entities go when the Lord Brahma goes to sleep? In one day of Lord Brahma, when everything, like we discussed in Rudra and Helios, where do the living entities go to? Do they go into Mahavishnu, or where do they go to?
Okay, excellent question. It's given in Padma Puran, the whole cycle of living entities on different level of cleansing, I call it, destruction, the scriptures refer to as, because that's how generally people see. But we devotees say that it's a cleansing process. So what happens is, when the living entities, again, when we die, we have within the universe, there's this system of saying how much pious you were, how much sinful you were. Or if you're a devotee, then, Padma Viman comes and you go back home, back to Godhead, like Dhruv Maharaj did, Ajamil, after his life, after being a devotee, Haridwar did. So like those devotees who go back home. For those who are still in this material world, after death, the cycle within this material universe with Yamraj, also referred to sometimes as Dharmaraj, because he's the one who will award you for your pious activities, but he would punish you for your impious, sinful activities, which are against the scriptures. So that's the current cycle. At the end of Lord Brahma, all the living entities who are running in this Brahma Bhavite, right? We're all wandering in this material universe. Lord Brahma goes to sleep, and Rudra is destroying the worlds, and all the living entities are going back into the Garbha, the womb of Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who's on the Garbhodak ocean within this universe. So think of Mahavishnu, Karnadakshay Vishnu, from him came various universes. Within the universes, all these cycles are going on. Everything is within this globe of our universe, where every Garbhodakshay Vishnu is resting, and all these living entities are coming through the stem. That's where the planets are, directly into. Just like the nutrition happens, like the sunlight captured and it goes to the roots and nourishes everything. So we go and we lie there for the same duration, 4,320,000,000 years. So we are resting there for such a long time, because same is the size, day of Brahma, and same is the duration is same. Now you said something very interesting. The 311 trillion 40 billion earthly years is the duration of Lord Brahma, but his moment is like a whole year for us. So if you go to Brahman Lok and you lived a few moments and you come back to Earth, the Earth would have completely changed. Many, hundreds of thousands of years could have passed, just like King Revat, when he took his daughter to invite Lord Brahma to his daughter's marriage, and Lord Brahma said, well, everyone that they're gone. Now you go back and you might just make it when Lord Balaram would appear, and then you can marry off your daughter to Lord Balaram. So Revati becomes the consort of Lord Balaram. So King Revat was so powerful, he could go to Brahmaloka to invite Lord Brahma to come to his daughter's marriage, but the prince is not there anymore. So, and Lord Brahma in Brahma Vimohan Lila, just before that, he said that, he steals away all these calves and cowherd boys, and he makes them sleep in the cave. And then in a moment he returns back, and the 1 year has passed in Vrindavan. So again, from earthly perspective, so we see that he also just lives 100 years like we do. But his years on Brahmaloka equate to different category, like day of demigods is 6 months, and same as the night. So a year on earth is 1 day in demigod planets, Swarglok, so heavenly planets. So we have to understand that time is relative at each level. So yes, they will still live the same 100 years. They will still have the same kind of 24 hours, 3,600 per hours during the day. But how they use it matters. So we have to understand that from individual perspective, we all have been given this body that can live for up to 100 years. In Kali Age, it goes further down because of the pollution around us, and all matters. So we live less, but every moment we live should be in Krishna consciousness. That should be our effort. Hare Krishna. Does that answer? I gave you multiple answers at different levels.
No. That's why it's very wonderful and amazing attending to Srimad Bhagavatam discourses, because I had been battling as to where the 11 entities go to at the end of Lord Brahma's day when Lord Brahma takes sleep. And your answer makes a lot of sense, and I do not know why I couldn't think like it that way. Because Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is our immediate source. And therefore, when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, we go back into Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And when Lord Brahma wakes up, we get repopulated. Now, when the entire universe has to end, then we go to where the source of the universe came from, which is the Karana, which is Mahavishnu. So thank you so much for the explanation. I had not thought about it that way, but it makes a lot of sense. And I hope other devotees who might have also had the same question will have their question answered. Now, if anyone doesn't have anything to say, I would like to say that our revered speaker, His Grace JIVA TATTVA Prabhu, has been a very good friend of mine for quite some time now. And I do not know what became of me, Prabhuji. I had been thinking that you are a disciple of Radha Govinda Maharaj, His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj. So just yesterday, I was going back to some of our conversations, our communication, and then I read your bio, and I realized that no, Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And of course, we all know what took place last month. I think it was May 5th. Maharaj left us. And some of us, we've lived through that experience. Some of us, we do not have our gurus with us physically. And we all know how difficult it is. I was talking to JIVA TATTVA Prabhu, and he told me he met with Ratnath Maharaj, I think 2 or 3 days ago. And I was also fortunate. I met with His Holiness Raghunath Maharaj in Washington, D.C. And he also talked about the physical passing of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, which is a blow to ISKCON in general, but a very damaging blow to his disciples. And so, on behalf of Hare Krishna Africa, Prabhuji, we offer our humble obeisances to you, and as insignificant as we may be, we pray to their lordships and the parampara that they give you and all the disciples of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj the strength and the ability to move on with their Krishna consciousness in his physical absence, and try to remember his Vani and honor him as such. There is no replacement, and there is no amount of words to describe the pain and the agony we go through when we lose our spiritual master. So many people talk about, don't worry, the Vapu will disappear. The Vani is most important. We don't dispute that. But without the Vapu, we could not have had the Vani. And therefore, the Vapu, when we lose it, it's very, very painful. And we're speaking from experience. We're not speaking just from textbook or what scripture says. So, on behalf of Hare Krishna Africa, Prabhuji, our heartfelt empathies to you all, and we pray that the Lord and the entire parampara help protect, strengthen you all for the rest of your devotional life. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sahadev Prabhu, and thank you, dear devotees, for this heartfelt reciprocation. And we are staying to follow the Vani Seva, so continuing to engage. And his instruction for us was, you guys are educators. You should educate others as well. And I love to read, so that's why I'm reading Padma Purana and so many other Puranas as well. And they bring so many amazing revelations and make our realization deeper when we look at the same verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving us the opportunity to carry out Vani Seva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, anyone has something else to say before we bring this to a final closure today? Otherwise, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace JIVA TATTVA, for his love and wisdom shared with us today. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Vancha
Vancha
kalpatarubhyascha,
kalpatarubhyascha,
kripa sindhubhyascha, kitanam
Pavanebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo, Namo
namo
Namaha.
namaha.
Ananta Koti
Vaishnava.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai,
His Grace Jiva Tattva Prabhu ki jai.
Jai,
All glories to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. So, devotees, we thank you.